We all set? Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the annual organizational meeting of the Village of Tuxedo Park. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Mayor Citrin,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lindsay,
Present.
Trustee Brooke,
Present.
Trustee Shara,
I believe he's present by phone, but he has to be unmuted to respond to that. Just, John. Hold on.
in the meantime, Trustee Turner.
Present.
So we're just waiting on that one last.
Yep. There he is. Okay. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
We're doing the roll call. Trustee Shara,
Present via phone.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good afternoon on Zoom and to whoever's in the room. First of all, I'd like to start by welcoming our newest trustee, Trustee Turner. He was sworn in formally just before the meeting, and we look forward to 2 great years of service. Thank you for agreeing to volunteer your time and commitment to the community. Couple of things. This is a reorganization meeting. It is not the general meeting of the board, which is scheduled for next Wednesday. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief. First, I'd like to discuss how this meeting will go forward. On Friday, I had the clerk treasurer publish an agenda. And to those of you on Zoom and who watch this meeting later, you may have had the opportunity to review the agenda. And I highlighted those particular appointments which differ from last year so that everyone would be aware of what changes were being proposed subject to the approval of the Board of Trustees. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss not each individual appointment, but only those that are highlighted or those that are requested to be discussed by members of the Board of Trustees, should they want to discuss those particular appointments. After that is done, we will have resolutions with respect to the appointments. I would like to also note that upon the request of one of the trustees, the decision as to whether or not to appoint Chris Gow as the chair of the bar will be tabled until the next Board of Trustees meeting, which will take place next Wednesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. So for those of you that came online for the purpose of commenting on that particular nomination, we will not be addressing it tonight, and feel free to either make your comments tonight if you wish to, or to come back either online or in person on July 17th, when that nomination will be taken up again by the Board of Trustees. With that being said, we'll begin the process. This should not be a particularly long meeting. And aside from the appointments and the general reorganization, we do have several items at the end of the meeting to discuss. One of them is authorizing paving, and another one is to discuss, but not to vote on, the issue of additional speed signs, such as the one that appears on a pole on the causeway. We're considering purchasing them, but we will not make a decision on that tonight. Also, the deputy mayor has some points she wishes to make with respect to climate smart issues and notification of the same. So with that being said, that concludes my comments, and I'll turn to the deputy mayor for her comments.
Okay, thank you. And welcome, Jed. I really
Thank
look
you.
forward to working with you.
Likewise.
So do you want me to introduce the Climate Smart now or at the end of the meeting?
You can do it at the end of the meeting
Okay.
if you prefer.
Yeah, so that's all.
Okay. Trustee Brooke, any additional comments?
I
at this
have,
point?
I have no comment.
Trustee Turner. Okay. One other item I wanted to address. You will, if you saw the agenda, there is a vacancy as of July 1st on the bar, And I will have the deputy clerk send out an email, and the email will be asking any residents who have any interest in volunteering their time and service to the village to submit their resumes or an application or a letter indicating an interest. And the board will consider it, and at some point in the relatively near future, we'll make a determination as to filling that vacancy. And again, we'll send out an email, but I'm inviting anyone who wishes to apply at this time, and we've already received, I think, 4 resumes. We look forward to reviewing your resume, interviewing you, and then we'll be making a determination, as I said, in the near future. Okay. That being said, having tabled the issue of the bar chair, the next item we move on to that is highlighted is the appointment of Nancy Hayes and as well as David Christensen. They were holdovers, okay? And it is my belief that rather than have holdovers on the BZA, we should give them an assignment to complete the term of the seat they're sitting in. So it's David Christensen is sitting in a seat that expires in July, actually, of 2027. And Nancy Hayes is sitting in a seat with a term expiration of July 2028. And rather than designate them as holdovers, my preference is to formalize their terms and allow them to serve out their terms until they come up for reappointment sometime in the future. Any discussion on that? No discussion? Okay. So with respect to David Christensen and Nancy Hayes, who are presently serving on the BZA, I hereby move that they be formally appointed for the following terms. David Christensen through July 2027 and Nancy Hayes through July 2028, which are the end or the beginning of the village years. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Scherer.
I am apparently not allowed to vote, given that I'm not on by video. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you for that. So the vote is.
If I can, I just want to be clear, when you say through July, you mean through the first Monday in July of those
Yes.
respective years?
Yes, Attorney Stoller, through the first Monday in July. Thank you for correcting the June date to make it the July date. Through the first Monday in July of the respective years. We have a vote of 4-0, one member not voting. Okay, next we have Jake Lindsay. His term as a member is up, and he has been serving admirably as the chair, and I would make a motion that Jake be, first of all, reappointed to his seat, which would end in July of, his term of 5 years would end in July of 2029. Do I have a second? A second?
So moved.
Second by Trustee Turner. All in favor of another 5-year appointment for Jake Lindsay through July of 2029, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Scherer not voting, 4-0. Now, with respect to the chairmanship, which is a 1-year term, I make a motion to appoint Jake Lindsay to an additional term of 1 year as chair of the BZA, that term ending the first Monday in July of 2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on. We have a very a fine chair of the planning board. He was appointed recently within the last few months. His name is Jay Reichgott. His term on the board also has expired, and I move now that Jay be reappointed for a 5-year term as a member of the planning board ending the first Monday in July of 2029. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Now, with respect to the chair of the planning board,
I'm sorry.
Jay.
I'm so sorry. I just want to confirm that was trustee Turner seconding that motion?
Yes, yes.
Thank
Okay. Now, with respect to the chair of the planning board, Jay has been serving in that capacity for several months. We've seen him at the Board of Trustees meetings, making an articulate argument and explanation and discussion of the fence law. I think the planning board will be in really good hands with Jay and for the next year. So I would move that Jay Reichgott be appointed chair of the planning board for a period of 1 year, ending the first Monday in July of 2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So that takes care of the appointments with respect to the appointed boards. We now have a series of appointments involving the committees. We can do a master resolution on that. We can also discuss it, but let me put it forward. I hereby move that the appointments to the village committees, including the chairs and the trustee liaisons, for a period of 1 year through July of 2025, hereby be approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on any of the appointments by any of the trustees? And that covers 2 pages of the agenda, just so we're all on the same page.
Will you also announce the vacancy for chair of the tree advisory board?
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good point. The chair of the tree advisory board will be announced. At this point, Chris Gow remains the chair,
Okay.
depending upon the result of our decision next week. If he is approved, he would resign from the chairmanship of the tree advisory board. If he is not approved as bar chair, I assume he'll remain. So it awaits our decision.
And then the same question on the Tuxedo Reserve. That's the TBD for this one.
Yeah, that's to be decided. At this point, we don't have a chair. But Deputy Mayor Lindsay, who served 8 years on the town board and is fully familiar with the development of Tuxedo Reserve, we're in good hands with her acting as the liaison on that particular issue.
And I'm sorry,
Chair position in that. I mean, it's not really a committee.
Should we remove
Right.
remove it then and just?
All right,
yeah.
I have no problem removing it as long as the
It's
deputy
just a
mayor.
liaison.
Okay, so it'll be removed. Any other comments on any of the other appointments?
can I ask a question?
Yes,
Because you said this was 2 pages. Are you looking at items 9 and 10?
Yes.
we're looking at items 9 and 10.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. And you're considering right now removing the Tuxedo Reserve from item
Only
9?
the chair.
The TBD chair.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the trustees or?
Well, what is the position of village fire inspector? We have the fire commissioner is Gardner
Mhm.
Temple.
John?
I historically have done some of the fire inspections, in my tenure as building inspector. There are not many. The primary one is the Tuxedo Park School. Once a year is required to submit documents to maintain their status as a school.
Do we have to have a village fire inspector? Is it mandated by statute?
I do not know.
Okay.
I do not know.
So TBD is probably best, and let's see if we need a
Right.
village fire inspector as required by state law. Does everybody agree to that? Yep. We'll get an answer. Then we'll decide how we appoint one if it's required. Right. Anything else, guys?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So the resolution's on the table to approve the appointments to village committees, chairs, trustee liaisons with the amendment that there is no chair of the Tuxedo Reserve Committee. And we will determine whether a village fire inspector is required and if necessary, fill that position. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 on those particular appointments. Now with respect to village employees, including the police, the office, the Department of Public Works, the village court. One amendment David Hassan is, his term may expire, but we don't approve his appointment because he's an elected official. So that should be stricken in terms of when his term expires. We can leave him on, but being elected, the voters will determine whether he gets another term. Everyone else, and I'll move that we approve the appointments of the village employees.
I'll second it.
Or any comment from any of the trustees on the appointments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Passes unanimously, Elizabeth. Got
Thank
that?
you. And can I, yes, I did. And I just wanted to clarify, do I just remove the term expires June 30th from David Hassan's line? Just leave it. blank?
I think Brian suggested we remove it because we don't want it to appear that we're confirming his election. That's inappropriate. He's an elected official. We can leave him there for the purpose of the agenda. Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to appointments of village professionals. There are a couple of changes I wanted to note for the record. I have asked Harris Beach to appoint a new attorney for the bar. So that's listed as TBD. I've spoken to Jared about it, Brian. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we'll wait for your referral in terms of who will be taking over the bar as
Okay.
the bar. And the other thing is, I'm pleased to report to the board that Marshall and Sterling, who was our insurance broker for many, many years, has been reappointed. The board was good enough to give me authority to negotiate between the prior broker, J.J. Farber, and Marshall and Sterling. And John and I, working in tandem, reached the conclusion that Marshall and Sterling provided better service, more information. And actually, if I could point out for the record, Marshall and Sterling, upon reviewing our policies, discovered that the lodge at the front entrance was not a listed property in the traveler's policy, although it had been a listed policy when they were last our broker in 2022. So some point it disappeared, and we're getting it back on because obviously we want to insure the lodge as one of the village properties. So even that alone, in their inspection of our current policies, led me to the conclusion that we had made the right decision in retaining Marshall and Sterling, who are experts in municipal insurance. All right, so I'll move the approval of the professionals set forth in section 12. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Brooke. Any discussion? No discussion? Any discussion from trustee Scherer? No? Okay. All in favor of
Nope.
all in favor of approving the section 12 village professionals, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the balance of the reorganization plan is pretty much generic. I do want to point out, with respect to the official newspaper, the issue came up at the last board meeting that we had posted notice of a public hearing with respect to the fence law in the Times Herald Record. And the Times Herald Record is the paper that covers Orange County. If any of the trustees believe there's another paper we should utilize for posting legal notices, I'm certainly open to that. But you know, the Times Herald Record does cover in Orange County. They've been covering it for a long time. We have as an alternative the Photo News, but unlike the Times Herald Record, the Photo News only comes out once a week, while the Times Herald Record is published daily, 7 days a week. So any
And
particular
daily online.
and daily online too. The Photo News is also online. Any
Yeah,
particular
but-
discussion about the official newspaper of record for the purpose of our reorganization? Okay, all right. The depositories include New York Class, M&T Bank, One Provident Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, and we go through the regular meetings and the holidays. And then we move on to the village election, which will be the third Tuesday of June 2025. The rules of procedure, all the same from last year, with one exception. And I'd like to discuss that with the members of the board. Quorum. Okay, I added 3 members must be present in person. And we did receive from Brian an explanation of what is required for a statutory quorum. Brian, would you be so good as to explain to us what we need for a quorum for the Board of Trustees and how we go about obtaining it with Zoom as compared to in-person appearances?
Sure. The village has authorized video conference participation by board members. So to apply the statute, you always have to have 3 members present at a location where the public can see and hear that person and also be there and be present in that location. So while the law would allow essentially for you to have 2 people at Village Hall and 1 somewhere else, perhaps in their house or somewhere else that's convenient and accessible for someone to go to, and for anybody to go to, that would constitute a quorum. But you are, and properly doing so, as all of the municipalities I'm representing, requiring that all 3 board members be present at the same location so that the board members and perhaps members of the public won't be inconvenienced by having to or being able to attend at a board member's workplace, home, whatever it may be, for whatever reason they can't attend, especially since many times they can't attend for certain circumstances that you wouldn't want to have somebody present at that location. So the whole point is to make sure you have 3 present at any one time at Village Hall so that you can conduct business. At the beginning, you heard Trustee Scherer mention that he cannot participate in voting today. That same law also provides that board members who are participating by video conference have to be able to be seen and heard to be able to participate in the vote. So that is the reason why Trustee Scherer is not currently participating by vote, but he certainly can participate as a member of the public and discuss anything that the board asks for him to participate in. He just can't participate in the vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stolar. So here's my thought. I really think we should have 3 people at every board meeting. I understand that not every member can be in person at every board meeting, but I'd like us to be able to work it out so that we know, I'll be here. I can guarantee that. We know that there'll be 3 people in the room, and then the other 2 members, whoever they are, and it can change from month to month. The other 2 members can appear on screen remotely and participate fully and vote. But that's what I'm asking, and that's why I put it in here, because optically, it's important that I think 3 of us be present in the room for the public who comes and for anybody else. Any disagreement on that point?
Well, I think during the COVID crisis, when it was difficult to put people together, it was reasonable, and I think video connections work. So if, I think it's more important to have meetings regularly scheduled. And if people are traveling, we should be able to hold those meetings. Because, a Zoom call is just as good as in person, in my opinion. So I think we should be bound to fixed dates. I might have to miss a board meeting last week or 2 weeks ago? Because my calendar is structured out, so every board meeting is set. But because Juneteenth was the board meeting and we moved it forward a week, I was not available that day. And I couldn't even have called in because I was involved in doing something. So my bet is I would like to look at the ability of having people attend via Zoom and have that count for quorums. But I don't feel that strongly. I think it's just sort of better to get the meetings done than to postpone it for another month.
Well, my response to that is the meeting on Juneteenth was not postponed because we didn't have a quorum. The meeting on Juneteenth was postponed because it was decided by the board that that is a holiday that's observed. And as a result, we should not be conducting village business on a day when Village Hall is closed. Go ahead.
But Mark, as a practical reality, we've never really had an issue getting an in-person quorum, I don't think, right?
Well, we have not, and that I put it in the reorganization because that would be my preference, that we have at least 3 people here. That's it. I'm not saying it's a problem.
I don't think it's been an issue. I think we just keep doing what we're doing. I don't know that this is, for example, I'm going to be there next Wednesday. I try and make it in person as much as I can. And, you know, in a pinch, what I found is all of us sort of figure it out. So it hasn't been an issue.
Not a criticism, but it was raised by trustee Turner when I sent this,
No,
agenda
I
out.
know.
Yeah, and he was wondering if everyone could show up by Zoom, and we now have an answer that's not permissible. And now as long as we all agree on that, we'll just move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
We just move on.
thank you. Okay.
I mean, Jed, you're already creating waves. What's going on?
All right. So, continuing on, again, it's pretty much, generic material that appears in every reorganization, from year to year. Does anybody have any comments on anything up through, section 22, which is the other village policies?
As far as minutes, a question was raised at the last board meeting, or a statement was made that they're required by law to be posted. And that doesn't say that here, and Jared was gonna check.
Okay, well, I know that the Board of Trustees minutes are posted, up to date currently.
They're posted, but it's not required by law.
Oh,
It's not required by law.
no, Jared was gonna check. Do we have it?
Yes, well, that was, yes.
Do we have an
That's-
answer on that, Brian? Do you know whether we're required by law to post the minutes of?
You have to make them as available as you reasonably can, at least a draft version within 5 days of a meeting. So yes, I would say if you have a website, you can do it, you should be doing it.
Okay,
Okay.
well, there we go. There's the
That
answer.
seems reasonable.
Okay. And that applies not only to the Board of Trustees, but to the appointed boards as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're a little behind on that. Okay, all right. Anything else up to, item 22? Everybody's good?
Mhm.
Okay. Any public comment from any members of the public on what we've covered? I'd like to limit your comments today to the issue at hand. Ordinarily, I say you can discuss anything you want at public comment, but I like to reserve that for the regular meeting. So if you have any comment on the reorganization plan that we've discussed, please feel free, but I'd like to limit it at this point with respect to this meeting, and then come back next Wednesday on any other issues that you believe are appropriate to be discussed by the board, in front of the board. Anybody?
Just before you get to that, the items you identified, I guess 13 through 22, you need a motion to approve those.
Yeah, can we do that by master resolution?
Yep.
Or we have 26 is a master resolution.
Okay, then fine.
You have the agenda in front of you, Brian?
I do, yes.
Okay, turn to
Yep.
26.
Yeah, yeah.
See if
Teaches me
that's-
right for not reading to the end.
See is that sufficient?
Yes, that'll be good.
Okay, all right. Elizabeth, do we have to read all the advance approval of claims, mileage allowance, attendance at schools and conferences?
I don't think so. I don't think we've ever done that before.
Okay,
I would just say as written in the above, in the,
Okay, very good. All right, so the master resolution for this organizational agenda, whereas the Board of Trustees have reviewed this agenda in detail, that this resolution is effective immediately. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approves items 1 through 25 on this 2020 organizational agenda. I'm sorry?
2024.
2024 organizational agenda. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by the deputy mayor. All in favor? Roll call, please.
Mayor Citron,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor, Lindsay,
Aye.
Trustee Brooke,
Aye.
Trustee Turner,
Aye.
and Trustee Shara, we note for the record, is not voting, right?
All right, now let's move on from the reorganization meeting to several issues, and we'll start with the deputy mayor and the climate. issue.
Okay, you want to start with that one? Okay,
Yeah.
so, in May, we started our clean energy campaign, which is, promotion of electric vehicles, clean energy through heat pumps or geothermal, and community solar subscriptions. So, we now have an opportunity through Jewel, who is the administrator of another program we have, the Community Choice Aggregation, to offer subscriptions to a community solar project run by the energy company called Meadow. And so we want to have a information meeting next Tuesday evening, and so we can move forward with that part of the campaign. And I sent out Jared was going to review the sponsorship agreement. Brian, I don't know if he had a chance to talk to you about that.
We haven't spoken about that.
Okay, so assuming that they agree that the agreement's upfront and no catches or anything like that, we can move forward with that part of the campaign. Just want to make sure we're all on board. It's not, I don't think it's a action item
No, it
necessarily,
isn't.
as just, if anybody had any questions or concerns, I would like to address them.
Any of the board members, any questions about Michelle's program? Not her program, but the program she's discussing? Okay, all right, that's item number one. Item number two, the Capital Planning Committee has recommended some paving.
Yes, we've spoken with Jeff about some priorities, and the reason we want to get it done and not wait until next week is, as Jeff has explained, the county appointed a firm to do the work, and he would like to get on their schedule as soon as possible. So we asked him what would be his top priorities. He would like to move with reclamation of Circuit Road and the driveway and parking lot for the village office and paving those two. And then also repaving the section of Weewa Road from the sewer plant to the DPW building. And the estimated cost is just under 125,000. We have 180,000 in that budget line.
Does that include Circuit or no?
Yeah, that includes Circuit.
Circuit Road.
Yeah, Circuit, the village office, and the Weewa in that little section between the sewer plant and the DPW building. So it would be coming out of that budget line.
Would you make the motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the repaving, the reclamation of Circuit Road, the village office driveway parking lot, paving the same, and paving Weewa Road between the sewer plant and the DPW building for estimated cost of just under 125,000. And the budget line is, I believe it's 5110. Is the budget line.
Thank you. I'll second that. Any discussion by the board?
I guess just for my benefit, what is reclamation mean?
So, good question, because I thought it meant milling, but it's totally taking it down.
Down to.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Trustee Scherer, any comments or questions, any for the discussion?
No, I think it's something we need to move forward with.
Okay. I note for the record that Trustee Scherer is also part of the Capital Planning
Yes.
Committee. So he was involved in the decision-making process.
Good.
Okay, great. All right. So we have a motion.
I missed the beginning, what Deputy Mayor was talking about. Is this proposal for the 125 to go out for bid, or did you already go out for bid on it?
Well, as I understand it from Jeff Voss, the county's appointed one firm to do this.
Okay, so it's through the county.
I'm sorry?
Got it. All right, so it's through the county. It's not going to be
Yes.
subject to competitive bidding. You're exempt. All right, good. I didn't hear the first part. Thank you.
All in favor of the paving
Aye.
Aye, aye. Okay, 4-0, Trustee Scherer not voting. The last item on the agenda is just a discussion, at least we have some information on what it would cost to install additional digital speed signs if we were to purchase them. And again, you spoke to the chief.
Yes, he gave us an estimate of, with a discount, 9,000, including the discount, 9,000 for 3 signs. We'd have to get an estimate for 1 sign.
Yeah.
And, so we could move it around. It does give quite a bit of data.
Now, let me ask you a question. So I know the sign on the causeway. Is it connected to an electrical source on that pole, or is it battery operated, or
There's-
solar powered? How does
There
that work?
is, you have your choice. You could have a solar, source or a battery.
Okay, so it is not connected to the
Not
utility
this-
line, as far as you know.
Not the one that he was,
Okay.
recommending.
All right, okay. We'll continue this discussion, next week.
Okay, I'll send it, what the chief sent, to everybody, so you could take a look.
Okay,
Okay, there is one more now.
yes,
Actually, I'll hand the next one over to Josh.
okay.
Josh, would you like to talk about the, oxygenator for the lake?
Sure. I think that's really going to be an agenda item for next Wednesday.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
that's
I'm
fine.
happy to talk. Yeah.
We'd rather you be in person, and tell us all about it while you're here. So we'll put that on the
Okay.
agenda.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you. Make a note of that, Elizabeth, for the agenda
Yes.
next week. The Tuxedo Lake oxygenator, in case I forget. Okay. Anything else before I make a motion that we go into executive session?
I have a question if that's okay. Because you were ahead of me when you did the master resolution. So I finally caught up and then it was over. I just was curious because in the master resolution, you're approving items 1 through 25, but we had already had votes on some of those, so I was a little confused. It's definitely 1 through 25?
Yeah, 1 through 25, we pulled out those that we believe we should vote on separately.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
And then
we
also-
articulated the votes. There were 4 of them or 5 of them that we voted on separately and independent, but it's still
I
1 through 25.
I see. And at some point, the agenda was updated so that the designation of depositories included NICLAS. But I missed this. In the master resolution, right above where it says master resolution, it lists the names of the institutions and NICLAS is not listed. So I just wanted to note for the record that we will be adding NICLAS to that section.
We have it on our copy.
Oh, you do?
We have it under 16 with respect to the master.
But then if you go to number 26, if you look right above that, it says names of institutions and it doesn't.
Yeah, it does not include them, right?
I just-
Okay.
We'll
All
be
right.
putting it in there. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that. I didn't think there'd be a
Yeah,
problem.
Yeah, we'll just add them, please.
Right, okay,
I mean, we already agreed to that.
great.
Okay,
That was it.
anything else before I move into executive session? No? Okay. I make a motion that we move into executive session now to discuss a personnel issue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, folks, we have to excuse the public at this point.
Trustee Chair, it seems that I cannot make you a co-host to keep you in this meeting.
Okay.
If you want to be
Okay.
part of it, would you mind calling the village office at extension 7?
Let me ask,
It's up to you.
let me try a different way.
Okay. I'll wait.
I can call
I-
you. or
yeah.
us Ourselves, right?
Give me 3 minutes, guys. And then Jed, I'll text you if I can't figure it out.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Is everyone else off? TPFYI has to go.
I know.
Yeah.
There's not many. TPFYI.
No, we don't have to press on this.
Solar,
Recording.
Okay.
solar. TPFYI, coming back in, they're the only ones from the public.
That's fine, okay. I hereby make the following resolution appointing and approving the employment of John Ledwith as the Building and Land Use Officer. Whereas the mayor and the Board of Trustees has duly canvassed the certified eligible list from the Orange County Civil Service Commission for candidates for the position of Building and Land Use Officer, and whereas candidate John Ledwith is one of the three persons, I think it was actually four, but 3 persons or 4 persons certified by the Orange County Civil Service Commission as standing highest on such eligible list and is willing to accept such appointment. And whereas the mayor and the board find it to be in the best interest of the village that said appointment and employment be approved and confirmed. And now therefore be it resolved that the board appoints John Ledwith to the position of Building and Land Use Officer for the village of Tuxedo Park, and further authorizes that John Ledwith shall receive compensation in the total amount of $140,000 per year for his employment as such, and be it further resolved that the appointment shall be effective upon the completion of any predicate requirements, including the filing of an oath of office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, trustee Scherer not voting. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other business that anyone wants to bring before the board before I make a motion to adjourn?
I have one question.
Yep.
Josh couldn't vote because he couldn't have a visual hookup.
Yeah.
Had he been present visually, he would have been able
Yes.
to vote. Great, that's all I
Yes.
needed to know.
Okay. All right. I make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by trustee Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Good night.
You get it, Josh? Yep, I got it. Okay. Enjoy your vacation. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.